Hi all, this is InvestQuest. My name's Ollie. Today we're going to be doing a review of the channel Everything Money. Now, this is not financial advice and I'm not a financial advisor. Think of me as your internet juggalo and that I am just staggering around in YouTube land, opining on the world. That is, this video is made for educative and entertainment purposes only. Now, I've watched a few videos from this channel and I really strongly disagree with some of their analysis, and I'm going to go through why. So obviously they've got a strong value investor bent, and I think that value investors generally have gotten things very wrong over the last 2 decades in certain respects. Now, why is that, you might ask? And the reason is that I think that that kind of analysis can miss where value is being created in society. So if you look at your life and you think about, where is value being created? Where is value being captured? What is really important to you? What companies do you utilize non-stop and you couldn't live without? Okay, I think that that is a good place to start for many people when thinking about these areas. So for example, a company like Google, okay, a platform where we are all on right now, that's where I'm making this video. So across the Western world, we've got this platform YouTube, right? Where Google is, they're indexing the entirety of the world's data and information. Now think of what the value of that is, okay? So if Google didn't exist and someone came to you from another dimension and said, here is Google, what value would you put on that? I just want that to sit with you for a minute. Now, if you look at the channel Everything Money, they cover all these different companies, okay? Like airlines like Southwest Airlines and defense manufacturers like Lockheed Martin. And then you've got this main guy shouting into the camera, sort of like a Jim Cramer kind of guy, right? And they just don't seem to get it, right? So, and I've made these same mistakes, in the past in some of my, investments in terms of where, how to analyze value. So the problem that value investors have is that they kind of have this miss the boat kind of mentality. They're always looking for something with like a lower market cap. I heard that main guy at on Everything Money say so many times that larger companies grow at a slower rate. But that's not necessarily true, okay? Google had a revenue increase of 60% in the quarter to June year over year. And in the last few years, revenue growth is generally about 20 to 30% a year, okay? So it's becoming even more valuable as it gets larger. So he's actually not correct. It's sort of like a bias that he has, and it can really lead to some perverse results. So another thing about the channel is that they got this software analyzer that they keep pushing, pay 90 cents a day and you can get this software analyzer tool and, it'll give you these financial metrics of any company, Now, the problem is that, when they're presenting this information to you, they're going through all these different businesses. They're going through like airline companies, which are shite investments, okay? They've got huge capital costs, low moats, and over the course of history, every single airline essentially has just destroyed shareholder value. But they don't give you any of that oversight, right? They just go, oh, push it into this software analyzer and then, give you some of these metrics, okay? And I just think that this is sort of like a cigar butt, Warren Buffett's cigar butt type of approach where they present you with some narrative around the financials. And the financials are, like actually just shite anyway for all those airline businesses. So I'll link the video that I'm talking about in particular that I watched about, I think, Southwest Airlines, and how he'd bought some shares in that because no one's flying in it, and maybe he'll get a little bit of a bump, but that's such short-term thinking to me, and I think it's really dangerous for a lot of people. I think it's really the inverse of how people should approach questions around, like financial decisions. So, I would frame it as, is what I'm going to invest in going to be much bigger in the future than what it is now? And is it going to be of immense value to society? And is the business going to be able to capture that value? Okay, so there are businesses or organizations where value is created but not captured. An organization like Wikipedia is a very good example of that, right? It's created immense value, but it hasn't captured the value, okay? That's why they go cap in hand to their users to ask them for a donation, when you go onto Wikipedia, all right? So you've just got to be careful about that distinction. So I'd also say you're looking for companies with much bigger revenues, much bigger profits in the future. And then obviously, you do the discounted cash flow analysis back to the company's present value. Now, if I told you we could go back in history 10 years, would you have cared if you'd paid 20% more for Google shares? Or if you'd pay 20% more for Amazon shares, okay? You wouldn't care at all. You would not care, okay? That is why their software analyzer tool is kind of dangerous, because if you have a long-term outlook, what that software will do is it'll mean you probably will never purchase really high quality companies, because you're basically looking to try and get them at a really distressed price. And it's very, very hard. It takes a huge amount of discipline to purchase, to have money set aside and then be able to purchase during a recession or COVID or something like that, right? It takes quite a lot of discipline that is beyond most people, right? So I would encourage a lot of people not to kid themselves that they're able to accomplish that. In Everything Money's video on Google, the main guy, Paul, he says, wait until Google falls to $1,500. Now, I don't think that that's ever going to happen with its earnings growth and share buybacks. So I don't think it's ever going to get to that level. So I just don't think that the channel gives any context on, where value is accruing in society, where value is being captured, and where society is heading, right? So they speak dismissively of high valuation tech stocks. And they don't seem to understand that these stocks are highly valued because they are valuable to society. That is, they're far more valuable to society than the stocks they say to buy, like cruddy airline businesses, right? So the other problem with Everything Money, all these businesses that they present in their videos are shoved through this software analyzer 8 pillars tool as if they can compare them in that fashion. And they present them all in the same light, right? So a high margin software business like Google or Facebook, is nothing like a low margin defense manufacturing business like Lockheed Martin, right? They're nothing alike. Okay, their growth rates, their returns on invested capital are completely different. It's completely different the outcomes that they're going to get 10 years from now. The stock analyzer tool won't show you, if a company is a monopoly, except potentially in, the degree of profitability. And so, I think that it gives a very skewed version of what is a good decision-making tool. So I think that it's confusing for audiences to present companies, in the fashion that they do, as if they're on some kind of equal footing, right? So they push out these videos, we're going to do a video on this company and this company and this company, this company. And really, I mean, if you look at the best companies in the world, I think that that's really a better way of framing things. Like, I would suggest for most people they should just concentrate on what are the best companies in the world, right? So Google's revenue today is around 400 times what it was 20 years ago. So I'm going to say that one more time. Google's revenue today is around 400 times what it was 20 years ago. Whereas another, and Google they say is not a buy at the moment. They say Intel is a buy. Now Intel's revenue is around twice what it was 20 years ago, okay? So out of those two, I'm going to ask you guys as the audience, which company do you think has the higher rate of innovation? So in the last 20 years, which do you think had the higher rate of innovation, and which will have the higher rate of innovation in the next 20 years? I'm going to let you decide on that one. Now, I have no interest in selling you anything. I don't have any software tools to sell. I'm just trying to provide high quality content that will hopefully make a difference to someone. And also, I'm happy to post my returns against Everything Money's returns. So over a 10-year period, my holdings are primarily Google, Amazon, Apple, Netflix, Facebook, and some Tesla, okay? Now, if they want to post their returns 10 years from now against mine, I'm very happy to see what they are. Okay, thanks guys. If you got any comments, please leave them. Please like the video. Okay, cheers. Bye.